Digger318 here, and don't forget to check out the end of the video on how you can win one of these posters for free, as well as the poster that comes in this sort of Darth Vader red lightsaber tube. So yeah, stay tuned. Hello and welcome to a review of the LEGO Star Wars Jedi Starfighter with HyperDrive. This is set number 75191. I will be comparing this to the original release, the set number 7143, when LEGO was still using yellow skin for Star Wars, as well as the minifigures from the Jango Fett Slave 1 set for set number 7153. Cockpit showcases a Camino battle that never happened because they were doing battle on the Slave 1 pier and not the landing pad for the Jedi Starfighter. It shows you the features that yes, you can remove and attach the fighter from the HyperDrive system, as well as a grip for holding and a few stud shooters and spring-loaded shooters. Title box shows all four figures in their full size, with Jango Fett being the profile image. The instruction manual is very thick because this is a big set. You saw the size of the box, it could barely fit in my frame. And you look at the parts guide on the back, there are a ton of pieces. And as well as a pretty nice big page spread of all the posters. On the back of the book it showcases all of the other sets from this wave, but doesn't have a minifigure page. That's weird. And on the back here you actually have a photograph of a hand holding the toy, as well as a illustration of the toy itself. This is a pretty big set. Annoyingly, this set, such an expensive set, does use a sticker sheet. Quite a lot of stickers, as you can see here. A lot of details being supplemented by stickers. That's really annoying. For an aircraft set, this set is huge. Remember, this isn't like a Star Destroyer or anything like that. It's just a single person fighter. And it is really big. In fact, I think it's a little bit too big for its own good. Just think about how small the minifigure will look like compared to it. And if you do have the original Slave 1 or any of the Slave 1s that's based on this design, you can see this thing is like, just the ship itself. Let's ignore this huge HyperDrive frame. If you compare that to this almost, the Jedi ship takes like half the size of this. And so, no scale here. It's way too big. I mean, is that a fault? Yeah, maybe if you compare it to some of the other vehicles that you might have. As far as I'm concerned, the Slave 1 has not been released under any other form right now. You have Boba Fett Slave 1 all the time, but Jango Fett Slave 1, I think this is the only one that's come out back in the beginning, the early days. So who knows, maybe they'll redo the Jango Fett Slave 1 as well. I'm guessing that if you have the UCS Boba Fett Slave 1, something like that, then that would fit much better in line of the scale of the Jedi Starfighter. Despite its size and sort of thin frame, especially around the HyperDrive ring, this thing is surprisingly sturdy, mostly due to the fact that a lot of the build is using Technic pieces and connectors, so the whole thing does feel very solid. You can push down a little bit and it feels fine. At the bottom of the ring is a transparent piece that you can build or remove if you want to. It doesn't need to be there, but it definitely gets a bit more support there if you have it there, but you can remove that if you want for aesthetic reasons. But the reason it's there for is for the kids playing thing, where you can put your hand around that very easily and you can hold this up and fly it around if you want to. So in that sense, for kids, that's a really nice thing to do. It makes it really playable and really accessible, because without this handle, you're not really sure how to hold this. But with it, you can like tilt it around, move it around. And if you're wearing one of those like green gloves, you can green screen this pretty easily. So that's pretty cool. So I approve of this bit that they've added there. It does use transparent pieces, but there are black pieces going through it because that's just the way it's done. To remove the Jedi Starfighter from the HyperDrive ring, all you have to do is push down this red area like a trigger. You can push that down. This thing will come loose, and you just slide it back, and you should be able to just lift it. Yep, there you go. Lift it up, and it will come off from the HyperDrive ring. You have these two big red panels there that give it more of an aesthetic feel, to make it seem more connected when it is in there. Like when it's docked, these plates come down, hold on to the wings, so that's pretty cool. The two spring-loaded shooters are attached to the HyperDrive ring as well, so there's actually more combat or defense when it's attached to this. On the generic ring that goes around where every piece looks very similar, you also have the two big engines on each side, and they look pretty good. They're very nicely built as well, but there's nothing stopping these bits from spinning or misaligning. You see, they spin indifferent from each other, so you're going to want to line them up and put them how you like and just sort of keep them there if you can. Same goes with the back. This piece also just rotates on its own, and there's nothing stopping it from doing that. From the red and white, you also have bits of lime green that go all over the piece to give it that little bit of extra detail that's much needed, and it is very nice. Just spinning this around, you can see it's sort of built details and textures all over this piece. And there are also smooth pieces going around to make it seem less blocky, which is a nice touch as well. The piece here is also slightly wider than the rest of it to make this a lot easier to stand, and it definitely keeps a very nice balance. So if you want to put this on display, you won't have to worry about it falling over. You can shake it quite a bit and it's not going to fall. Or maybe if you shake it sideways and start rolling around. But forwards and back, it's really very, very sturdy for what this thing essentially looks like. A big ring, so that's really great. The main vehicle itself looks okay from the top. I have not applied any stickers yet, and it still definitely looks like the Jedi Starfighter. However, if you look at it from the bottom, the design just goes all over the place. There's nothing in between these wings down here, so this is a very thin piece. There's nothing stopping these pieces from going up and down. It stops it going down too far, but nothing stopping it going up. So you got this weird flat shape if you push it up, so that's a little bit annoying. These stud shooters are also easily removable, but they do look like a part of the ship, so I think that's okay. You got a landing leg here that you can put away or push it down if you want to. And of course, due to the mechanism connecting it to the HyperDrive system, you have these two extra bits here that have these little Technic bits sticking out, and that's not very aesthetically pleasing. The bottom of the ship is frankly ugly, and for a spacecraft that's not very good because spacecrafts are flying around and you're going to see the bottom a lot, especially when you're playing with this around. These flaps can move up and down, and that can be very distracting. Back of the ship, while it does have details of the engines, the little mini engines that you have there, it looks okay, but the details are just a little bit ugly. And this extra piece here, right down there, this block there, is quite ugly as a design. I don't like that. This thing is already very bulky around the back, and that makes it even worse. I'm going to compare this to the old design. The old one does not use any stickers at all. You have all the printed details coming down the main body as well as the fin. The whole shape is a lot better as well. It's much closer to the original design from the movies. One thing, it's a lot flatter. It actually follows the shape. Now the cockpit window here is not, just comes off, doesn't have a hinge or anything, and it's not exactly the right shape because in the design the cockpit is more of a round shape. But that's, you know, understandable for an older set. But aside from that, the entire shape is much better on the old one. One thing is a plus on this one is that they actually decided to put a little turning piece here, a turning plate, whereas the old one didn't have that, so I just took one from like Mega Bloks or something, stuck it on there. Blasphemy, Mega Bloks. But the old one has printed pieces, making it much more unique and special, whereas the new one, yeah, using stickers is good enough, but printed pieces are so much better. And like I said, the entire shape, it's just much nicer. You got the little builded details there, and the wings don't actually move up and down that much because at the bottom of the ship you actually have different pieces holding it up. For example, the engines have bottom wings here, which is sorely missing from the new one. If we look at the new one again, there's nothing really at the back there to round up the triangle shape of the ship, and for a set designer these days, that's inexcusable. They can definitely add some pieces there. This one has a much better bottom than the new one. Back of the old ship also fills itself much more nicer than the new one. You see there's a lot of empty space in the new one, and the old ship just feels like it's empty. And when the ship is that empty, I do question again, why does the cockpit have to be risen so much from the rest of the body? It just doesn't make that much sense. The only printed piece on this entire design is the little screen inside the cockpit, which thank God at least that's printed. The old one has a generic plate, printed plate that you can see in many different ships. So in that sense, there's one plus with this design in that it has one printed, slightly more accurate screen. The cockpit area has also got a big seating area, but you can still only sit one person. It's not like you can sit two in there. This ship, however, does have a compartment hidden elsewhere, so the body is like that. It's not there, but you can fit it inside the middle here, and then just put this piece over on top, put that down, and then you have a place to store the body, but it's not exactly accurate, but I guess there's somewhere to put it. First we're going to take a look at both Obi-Wans. The old one has binoculars as well as the lightsaber, and then the hilt was a generic sort of greyish plastic with chrome printed on it, and of course that chrome has come off a lot since back then, whereas the new one, the plastic's actually molded in a silverish colour, so it will last a lot longer than the old one. The print design is very similar, of course, since it's based on the same suit. They've updated it, giving it skin colour. There's also leg, and the belt print is also much more detailed. The leg print isn't too essential, it's just a few black lines. I'm not too bothered there. The other one uses brown legs, which is not really accurate. If the new one had boots though, that would be really great. That would really push it far away from the original. The face print is also very different and much more accurate, as well as a nice shiny gold finish on his communicator, whereas the old one has just a little thin black lines doing it. The other one, of course, also has a cape, and the new one doesn't. That's much more accurate on the new one. Removing the hair pieces, just to see, take a closer look at both of these faces, and of course the new face is much nicer, but old Obi-Wan is actually pretty happy, whereas the new one's a bit grumpy. And of course the old figure does not have any back print whatsoever, and the new one has the back clothing print, which is pretty good, as well as a kind of like face going on. So neither face is happy, so the old one is way happier than the new one. It's just no comparison here. The old box didn't even bother giving R5 a body, so the new one has that, which is just essentially a recolored version of the latest design of R2-D2. The top of the head there is also far more accurate in terms of color, because the base of the droid actually has a red head with dark print, whereas the old one, they just recolored the R2-D2 head to replace the blues with red, so that's not very accurate at all. And of course the dome on the new one is printed all the way around, same as the old one, that's printed all the way around as well. It's just not exactly the correct design. As well, the Boba Fett's, Kid Boba Fett, I have 3 of them here. The middle one is the latest one in this set. The one on the left is on the old Slave 1 set that I showed comparing the size to. And the one on the right is from one of the year's Advent calendars, which was pretty cool to have an update from the Advent calendar. Note that they've of course updated the hairpiece and the... even though the Advent calendar is pretty recent, it is still slightly different. The color between the original and the latest one is much closer, whereas the color on the Advent calendar one looks just a little bit more green in the blue, whereas the other two is a bit more sky blue, a bit flatter. The facial expression is also different between the two newest ones. The other one, of course, just a grumpy little annoying kid. He's an and of course it doesn't have any back print whatsoever, whereas in both of the new ones have slight different expression. The one in the middle there, the latest one, has a little bit of lip drawing around his mouth, and he's a little bit annoyed, whereas the one on the right is just a little bit bored. Body print is also slightly different. The latest one has sort of a black print with a grey outline, whereas the old one uses more of a brown belt. Same differences on the back. You also have the brown and the blue and black belt differences. There's also a slight difference in terms of printed design of the folds of the clothing. The facial expression is the same, but again, it is slightly redesigned. The latest one's face is a little bit smaller, as well as the mouthpiece is a little bit smaller compared to the Advent calendar one. That one's definitely a bigger face, so yeah. Finally, we move on to Jango Fett. The first one on the right, of course, is the Santa Fett from the Advent calendar again, and has a pretty similar design to the current Jango Fett there. See, he only has body print, but the helmet is essentially the exact same shape, but the print detail is a little bit different. The blue on the top of the visor actually moves away from the mold line, and there's a bit more silver on the latest one, right on his right hand side right there. And then the third one, of course, is the original Jango Fett with the old mold, where the jetpack is molded into the helmet, a single piece, and of course the visor is actually a cut-out hole to show the black head underneath. Of course, there's no leg print or back print whatsoever, and the torso print is much more, I would say, Lego shape, Lego-fied. When you notice in the new design, they've actually reshaped to give it more triangular look, whereas the old one is just a bulky look. I actually prefer, I like the old shape of the helmet. I just like that whole Lego shape that it has, the more blockier shape. But I do like that the jetpacks are detached from the helmet, so you can actually move the heads on the new ones. So in an ideal world, I'd have the old one's shape, but the detachment of the new ones. I also prefer the Jango Fett's body from the old one. I just like that bulkier look. Of course, on the left hand side there, that's just one of the newest Boba Fett's for a comparison, because it's the same mold and a similar design, but all the shapes and stuff have been slightly altered just a little bit between all of them. And the leg print design as well is slightly altered. You can see there are similar elements between the both leg prints. Boba Fett has a generic clone trooper head, because of course he does, because he's a clone, right? Old Jango Fett there has a very bored look. You can see they've actually attached printed a sort of pattern around him so it can fit with the rest of the black head, so it's not just a random yellow bit printed there. So they're actually giving him sort of space suit thing going on. And he does come with a hairpiece, the sort of generic Lego hairpiece, which is in the cupboard somewhere. Christmas Django and the latest Django do look a bit different. I'd say they both of them do look like the actor and how they were portrayed in the movie. For some reason though, the beard on the Christmas Django just goes far too off because he thinks he's Wolverine or something, whereas the latest one, the beard actually gets a little bit of a shave. None of these characters have any back head prints, which is just ridiculous. When we have characters these days that always have double head prints, when you can, especially when you have helmets that cover the entire head, why isn't there a second expression? How about a smug expression when he's like, oh, sorry Jedi, you're not going to find what you're finding here. Boo, 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 boo. Where's that face? Why isn't that here? This is ridiculous. Or how about a face that hangs onto communication things coming down the side, just like the Obi-Wan head? That would be nice, but no, it's all blank, and that's just terrible. Backprint design, of course, is also all been slightly different compared to each other, but they're all based on the same shape. Boba Fett there has a bit more of a belt going on, whereas, of course, Santa Fett has a little bit of a paint scratch and also a little Santa's hoodie hanging down from him. Boba Fett, of course, has the green jetpack, and Jango Fett has the silver jetpack. The Santa Fett also has a silver jetpack, but he's currently wearing the alternate baggie with two presents in there. And, of course, here's a look at the original jetpack that is connected to the helmet, so there's no articulation there. The old jetpack is way bigger and way more bulky, and of course the new one is way more sleek. In terms of the build and design, the old one is just so much better. It's far more accurate to the actual screen, what you see on the movie, and it actually has printed parts, and the bottom looks good. The only thing that's better on the new ship is, of course, a little dome-shaped opening hatch, but that can be easily fixed on the old one. That's just one fix. And of course, the second fix is actually adding a rotating pad for R5's head. So in that sense, overall, if you have the old ship and you're not bothered with the HyperDrive, then you don't need to get this one. Now, the HyperDrive on the new one is pretty good. It's very secure. It's very nicely built. And if you don't have the old ship, the new one is nice enough. I just can't get over the big bulky thing on the back. It just looks very ugly, and of course without the stickers the ship is okay. It's definitely recognizable, and it has enough details and different colors on the top of the ship to make it feel like there's some sort of pattern going on, but of course without the stickers it's still quite far away from the original. The playability of the new one is also much nicer with the handlebar holding for the HyperDrive, and of course some stud shooters and spring-loaded stuff, so kids are definitely gonna like that. And the overall structure on the new one is very solid, but then again the old one's very solid as well, so they're both equal there. In terms of the minifigure department, you cannot beat the new one. The figures are just much betterly done these days. You got secondary faces on Boba and Obi-Wan, but it's unfortunate that Django doesn't have that. We actually have a full R4 here instead of just the head, which is silly. Speaking of having a full R4, since the ship is so bulky, why isn't there space to fit the entire R4 in there? Instead we just have emptiness underneath the ship. So better figures in the new one, but a better ship overall from the old one. And of course you only get one figure really, because since Alpha doesn't have the body, I can't count that as a figure in the old ship. So the old ship you only get one figure, whereas the new one you get 4. Now they've released these figures here, that means they're not going to release a slave one because they know they're not going to release them. That's why they put the Jango Fett characters in here. Or will they eventually release another Jango Fett slave one? Who knows? Subscribe, suggest, and comment below. And of course, take care and have a nice day. I'll see you guys soon. Bye bye now. I'll say this right now, unless you really like the design of this particular ship, don't go out there and rush out and get this set as soon as it becomes available. Give it a while, let the price drop just a little bit. Maybe wait for discounts or special discount periods before getting this one, because you know, the ship itself doesn't look that great on its own. So, which set do you prefer? The old ship or the new one? The old figures or the new figures? And of course, if you want to win that poster, just put in the number of the set that you prefer, either the new or the old one, with 318 at the back, you know, with a little space. And I'll pick out the winner in about a week's time. Thank you for watching. May the Force be with you. Hey guys, here's a chance to win one of these posters. I'm going to be giving 4 of these posters out. They're double-sided. They contain the previous wave of minifigures that was released in 2017, and they come in this sort of Darth Vader red lightsaber cardboard tube, which is pretty cool. And I'm going to be giving away 4 of these in 4 videos that are going to be coming out within the week. I'm going to be reviewing some of the new LEGO Star Wars sets, including the First Order Stormtrooper Battle Pack, the Bounty Hunter Pack, and Obi-Wan's Gi Starfighter with HyperDrive attached, Clone Tank, and the Darth Vader transformation scene. So in order to win those, check out those videos in somewhere in the middle, somewhere at the end, and I'll tell you exactly how to win one of these posters. I'll send them anywhere in the world as long as you answer it and I randomly select you. So yeah. Of course, do be mindful that I'm not paying for tracking posts. If they go missing, I only have 4 of these. I'm sorry, I can't send another one to you, and when you do win, I will be of course needing your address so I can send it to you. So good luck and enjoy the video. I've tried to do a slightly updated format to my reviews to try and attract more viewers and put more effort into the videos. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Enjoy the video and stay tuned.